What is up, guys? Tyson DELACRUZ here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. We're going to turn our attention to the New Orleans incident where law enforcement just identified the suspect behind the shocking attack that left the city on edge. We're also going to talk about the incident that happened in Las Vegas, in my hometown, at Trump Towers, with the explosion of a Cybertruck in the Trump Tower Valet. Shout out to everybody watching. Truly appreciate you guys. First, before we jump into any of that, we're going to jump into what Joe Biden had to say and addressed the nation regarding the New Orleans incident.
Our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who were killed, to all those who were injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people. And I want to thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, and whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, there you go. The law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators.
He kind of stumbled his way through that. Let me know what you guys think about that. But he kind of stumbled his way through that particular scenario. For those of you that don't know the suspect of the New Orleans attack, this happened last night, 12/31/2024. I thought we would leave everything. And jump into goodness in regard to 2025. But this happened. This happened along with an incident in Las Vegas. Sadou Dim Jabbar, 42 years old, who served in the Army on active duty from 2006 to 2015, was the individual that mowed down some folks while they were just enjoying New Year's. Based on this article here, it says, New Year's Day attack in New Orleans that killed at least 15 people and injured 30 more. This is crazy stuff. We're going to jump into this video with Newsmax just to kind of, I am surfacing this information as I'm posting this right now. So let's jump into this video here.
It is 2025, and I'll tell you right now, this 42-year-old from Texas, Shamsu Sinzabar, the guy who killed at least 15 Americans last night in the wonderful city of New Orleans, did not win, and he will never win. But I do want to know, and I think the families who lost somebody last night deserve to know what the FBI knew before this happened down in New Orleans. How much did the FBI know? And while we're at it, how much did the FBI know about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania? How much did the FBI know about Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas, Texas? How much did the FBI know before anything terrible happens in this country? It always seems like they knew something. Here's what we know right now. At approximately 3:17 a.m. on Bourbon Street, one of the most beautiful parts of the Crescent City, a premeditated act of terrorism took place. The man responsible, 42-year-old Shansu Sinzabar. He had an ISIS flag on the back of his truck and made a right-hand turn onto Bourbon from Canal Street, immediately accelerated, and tried to kill as many people as possible. I can also confirm Shansu Sinzabar is in hell tonight and will be there for eternity. There will not be 72 virgins lined up waiting for Shansu, who just became the latest example of Islamic terrorism in this country. Because it is a fact that when you rent a Ford F-150 pickup truck and put an ISIS flag on the back of it and kill innocent people, you are by the very definition an Islamic terrorist. A description that Kamala Harris, if she was elected in November, wanted to eliminate from the English language altogether 20 years after 9/11. And Kamala thought the phrase Islamic terrorism was hurting people's feelings.
You must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror.
Kamala, from the very depths of my soul, I am just so darn glad that you didn't win in November. And guess what? It is okay to hurt people's feelings. That's often how people grow. It's okay to call COVID-19 the China virus because COVID-19 came from China, just like German measles came from Germany. It's also okay to call an Islamic terrorist an Islamic terrorist. The Boston Marathon bombers were not heroes or heartthrobs. They were Islamic terrorists. Osama bin Laden was an Islamic terrorist, and Shansu Sinzabar is an Islamic terrorist. But right now, less than 24 hours after this all happened, the question remains, how did he become radicalized? And how did this failed real estate agent from Houston, Texas, become radicalized enough to do something like this? And how did the FBI miss this? Because Sinbar, also a 10-year Army veteran, at one point, not that long ago, seemed like a pretty square guy, ordinary in fact, like maybe somebody you'd consider buying a house from. Take a look.
I'm Shadine Jabbar,
Whoa!
property manager with Blue Metal Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator. So not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible or gets leased as quickly as possible, but I'm also going to take every ounce of energy and putting it into negotiating for you and for your property to get the best deal that you can possibly get for it.
So
Holy crap.
Not that long ago. That video was shot in 2020. And in the days and weeks ahead, I hope we get the answers that we need. I do, but my faith in the three-letter organizations running these investigations right now, extremely limited. And I say that because the FBI has stonewalled the American people and Donald Trump himself for the last 6 months. We still know very little, next to nothing, about Thomas Matthew Crooks, the 20-year-old that tried to kill Donald Trump in July. And when you shield information from the public, guess what? You allow conspiracy theories to grow. And the same FBI that hasn't been transparent with the public about what really happened in Butler wasn't even calling this an act of terrorism until almost 10 hours after it happened. And we know that because an FBI agent with a nose ring told the world this morning that this was not a terrorist event. Take a look.
We'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if this is a viable device or not. As Chief Kirkpatrick said, we're asking everyone to stay away from Bourbon Street, specifically from Canal Street to St. Anne.
Clearly, this was an act of terrorism. Let me take you through it. What?
Guys, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this. How does this happen? When they showed this video of this gentleman who was in 2020 a real estate agent, this is new information for me, so I'm releasing this as I'm sharing this with you guys. Back in 2020, this individual looked fairly like a normal guy, like a broker at a real estate agent. And I get real estate can be stressful, but not that stressful. Now, how does this happen? How does an individual become radicalized enough to run people over in the streets? In the streets. Is it because of the heavy contribution factor of leftist legacy media making it okay to speak violence to the public through their broadcasts? Is it the rhetoric that they spew out of their mouth daily on shows like The View, on shows on CNN? Is it because of those things that create this? Is it a contributing factor of this? I want to know. How does a person from 2020 all of a sudden do something like this with an ISIS flag on his truck? I just want to know. Let me know what you guys think.
When someone with a name like Shansu Sinzabar drives a truck with a large ISIS flag on the back of it into a crowd of innocent people with the sole purpose of killing as many people as possible, that is terrorism. That is not profiling. That's honesty. That should have been the first thing investigators established when they arrived on the scene at 3:18 this morning in the French Quarter. By 4 a.m. New Orleans time this morning, it should have been clear to the world that this was an act of terrorism. The other part of this story, like so many that we have witnessed over the last 4 years, is this is yet another Joe Biden story. We are currently living in a country where laws are now optional. The pickup truck that Shansu Sinzabar used was rented, and somehow that truck crossed the border in Eagle Pass, Texas last month. We don't know why yet, but I can promise you that when you rent a truck in Houston, Texas, you can't drop it off in Guadalajara, Mexico. Donald Trump said today that the Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. And the president is right. New Orleans is an amazing place. My wife is from New Orleans. Her parents are there now. I talked to my father-in-law today. After Hurricane Katrina, they stuck a bumper sticker on the back of their Jeep. It's still there. It reads, "New Orleans, proud to swim home." The French Quarter will come back. New Orleans will come back. The Sugar Bowl will happen tomorrow and Georgia will win. Mardi Gras next month. The Jazz Fest happens in May. New Orleans will come back. But once again, I find myself asking a question that I've asked on countless occasions. How did the FBI, how did Christopher Wray's FBI miss this again? Because
the other thing that blows my mind that this gentleman, this anchor, brings up is we still have no information about that would-be assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania. And the media just washes it under the rug. Is this another instance that's just going to be washed under the rug?
right now, it looks a lot to me like Kash Patel is not going to need those confirmation hearings after all. He was just confirmed. The incompetence of the FBI,
Facts.
every three-letter organization that somehow missed the radicalization of this seemingly once normal Army vet is sadly not surprising at all.
Jeez. We're going to jump into a couple other stories here. Here is this incident. Let me make sure that I have this tied up here. Okay. This is just an insert from Fox News. Let's see what they have to say.
You know, all of that makes a ton of sense. And we know there's a terrorist connection here. And, you know, if you would have asked me this morning, I would say it's fairly obvious. There were IEDs in the area. The ISIS flag was very visible. It was right there on the back of his truck. And look, I understand you want to be cautious with information. I get that. I was press secretary during COVID-19. You have to be cautious. But why wasn't the FBI cautious in saying this? I want to play this from this morning. They were very clear that they could rule one thing out at 6 a.m. local time.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is they're improvised explosive devices.
Golly, guys. Golly. These three-letter organizations, FBI, all, at least in my opinion, all fugazi. All fugazi. All of it. Craziness to me. We're going to jump into Senator John Kennedy talking about this particular event to the press. Let's jump into this. Oh, there's nose ring again.
I wish I understood better why bad things happen to good people. If I make it to heaven, I'm going to ask. For those people who don't believe in objective evil, all you have to do is look at what happened in our city early this morning. I am, if this doesn't trigger the gag reflex of every American, every fair-minded American, I'll be very surprised. I'm here because these are my people. I'm here because these are my people's friends. I'm here because there are a lot of Louisianians that are scared tonight. I don't want them to be. There's a lot of information going around. Some of it is actually true. Some of it isn't. The federal government is now in charge of this investigation. By that, I mean the White House, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Justice. I have not talked to the FBI. Maybe they've talked to my staff. I don't know. I did talk to the Secretary of Homeland Security a little while ago. And I told him that with all the respect I could muster, that we expect to put the full force and resources of the federal government behind this investigation. Our state troopers, our local police departments, our sheriffs, we've got many sheriffs here today, have been terrific so far. The federal government is cooperating with them. I hope that will continue. Here's what I want to ask from the federal government. Catch these people. Catch these people. And then tell the American people the truth. Now, I don't want you to tell us yet anything that's going to interfere with.
Exactly. Tell us the truth. We had these drone situation flying around for weeks and weeks and weeks. Would-be assassin, 2 would-be assassins that we know of. President-elect number 47, Donald Trump. Just tell us the truth. Kennedy's right here. Just tell us the truth.
With your investigation. And there are things that I've been told that I think are true that I'm not sharing with you today because it could interfere with their investigation. But after we get to the bottom of this, they need to tell the American people the truth. And the people of New Orleans the truth. And the people of America the truth.
Now, I don't want to throw conspiracies out there. I don't want to throw shade out there that I don't actually have facts to. But him saying that, what he just said here.
But after we get to the bottom of this, they need to tell the American people the truth. And the people of New Orleans the truth. And the people of America the truth. I think the mayor and the governor are very wise. But after we get to the bottom of your investigation, And there are things that I've been told that I think are true that I'm not sharing with you today because
That right there raises my eyebrows. It raises my eyebrows. We got to have our head on a swivel. Him saying that, there was some information that was given to him that he doesn't feel appropriate at this time to communicate because it may interfere with the investigation. I understand that. But that means to me, not throwing conspiracies out there, guys, but there is something bigger. Let me know what you guys think about that. There's something bigger going on. And the next video that I'm going to share with you, I haven't watched in its entirety, but the next video that I'm going to share might shed some light on that.
because it could interfere with their investigation. But after we get to the bottom of this, they need to tell the American people the truth, and the people in New Orleans the truth, and the people of America the truth. I think the mayor and the governor are very wise to postpone this ball game for 24 hours. There's just too much stuff we don't know, and it's just not worth it. But I guess my final point is, I will promise you this: I will, when it is appropriate and this investigation is complete, you will find out what happened and who was responsible, or I will raise fresh hell. And I will chase those in the federal government who are responsible for telling us what happened, like they stole Christmas.
I believe that from Mr. Senator Kennedy for sure. For sure. Here is another clip I wanted to share with you with Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy implies that there could be more potential attacks. The question that was asked, are you getting the sense that there is any additional threats or potential attacks that will happen on major cities? I just got the goosebumps.
Just a final question here for not just people in Louisiana that are watching, but people coast to coast that are watching tonight. Are you getting the sense that there's any threat of any other potential attacks tonight on any other major cities?
I can't answer that. I can, but I won't.
Is New Orleans safe tonight?
Yes, but we're still in the...
That pause is super concerning to me.
Yes, but we're still... Yes, but we're still in the process of tightening up security. We're still in the process of doing everything that we possibly can. The governor's called out the National Guard. We've got more FBI coming. We've got Homeland Security people. We've got state troopers who've done an awesome job. We've got the NOPD. We're doing everything we can. But like I say, there's a lot of information out there. Some of it's accurate.
Okay. Just a final question here for...
Nasty. Guys, make sure that your families are protected. Make sure that you guys have your head on the swivel. I just received a notification on the Discord group. If you're not part of the Discord group, member Terry said, I knew that the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas at the Trump International wasn't an isolated incident. We're going to jump into that story right now. So for those of you that don't know, you should know, Cybertruck was parked in front of the valet or the area, the guest check-in area near the front entries of the golden, beautiful towers of the Trump Hotel out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and there were a series of explosives, excuse me, in the bed of the Cybertruck, which were detonated. Elon Musk had stated this here. He said, even these evil knuckleheads picked the wrong vehicle for a terrorist attack. Cybertruck actually contained the explosions and directed the blast upwards. Not even the glass doors of the lobby were broken. We're going to jump into this video here.
Just a vehicle fire. And so
this particular, I'm not going to share the particular explosion of this, but mind you guys, the Cybertruck is made out of stainless steel with bulletproof windows. And there's a tonneau cover, a cover that covers up the back of the pickup truck. And there was explosives in there. Let me show you the devastation of this vehicle, but it made the blast go upwards. This is what Elon Musk is saying.
Just a vehicle fire. And so there's going to be a drone video that plays to my left again. You'll see the fire initially, they covered it with the tarp to try to get it to go out. Once the fire went out through the suppression efforts of the fire department, you'll see some of the evidence in the back of the vehicle.
Look at that. Look at that. It looks like there's a propane tank. There's some gasoline. There's some fireworks in there. I'll jump into this video and share my commentary here.
Those are gasoline canisters. They are camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars. What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump Hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there.
Now, both of these vehicles were rented off of a vehicle renting app called Trow. Trow is a kind of like an Airbnb for vehicles. You log into the app, you do provide your driver's license, you do provide your insurance, and then the owner of the vehicle approves or denies whether or not you can rent the vehicle for X amount of time. This particular Cybertruck was rented for 30 days. Interestingly enough, this is a Cybertruck, okay? Again, made out of stainless steel, and it's basically a computer on wheels. There's cameras everywhere. So there is a camera because there is no rear view on this particular vehicle. There's cameras everywhere. Now, maybe somebody's working right now to get that footage. And it would definitely help this investigation for sure. They can simply just log into the app as well and see who rented this particular vehicle. I'm going to jump into this. This is Kash Patel. Just as a reminder, guys.
You need a 20.
This doesn't make you more furious, you know. And I don't want to bring bad news, right? But this is just what it is. This is just the news today. This is just what it is. Initially, people were saying that the Cybertruck situation was an explosion with the battery, but the battery doesn't do that. There was we saw that. There was active explosives. There was propane in the Cybertruck. Let me jump into this footage and shout out to the police department and fire department in Las Vegas and also in New Orleans. So first and foremost, my prayers go out to those individuals that were affected in that.
Randy, I want to start with the Trow app. You know, we know it was used in New Orleans to rent that truck. We now know that it was also used in Las Vegas. Could it be a coincidence? Certainly. But the Trow app, I mean, to my knowledge, it's pretty, you know, a remote app. It's not one that's often talked about. It's not like they both rented through Hertz or a well-known company. Are you seeing anything with that connection?
Absolutely. I'm not a great believer in coincidences when it comes down to violent crime. There are so many coincidences and similarities involving these two terrorist attacks that I cannot fathom that they are not connected. Now, of course, this is what law enforcement has to do. They have to delve into the backgrounds of the identified people, the driver, the dead driver of the Tesla, and the dead suspect in New Orleans. They're going to have to determine what connection, if any, existed between them. And this is what the investigative process has to entail, is a deep, deep dive into the pasts of both of these individuals and those associated with them. So this is going to be a very deep investigation. When I first heard about the Tesla explosion, I was literally on the media concerning the New Orleans. And I got to tell you, a shiver went down my spine. And I thought, oh no, don't tell me it's in my own town this is happening too.
With this particular scenario, I think both of these are something, someone, some entity sending a particular message. There's no coincidence. There's no coincidence that both these vehicles were rented off of the Trow app. One had explosives and parked in front of the Trump Tower, and the other one in New Orleans. When there was actually supposed to be a game today. There was actually supposed to be a game. So there's a lot of people there. I hope that the existing administration figures out what the freak is going on. We have an inauguration coming up on January 20th where a lot of people are going to be at. And they need to figure this ish out. They need to figure it out. And they need to stop lying to people. Because them lying to people just creates more panic and worry. Tell us what's going on with the drones. What happened to the drones? What happened to that would-be assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania? This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. More on this information is going to be unfolding in the next couple days. I'm going to personally dive into this individual with the New Orleans situation. And I'm going to reach out to some folks to see what we can do and get some information regarding the Trow app. See what's going on. I'll keep you guys updated on this. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.